What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're enjoying your Saturday night so far. This is MYG Jeffy T85 here. And first off, I want to thank everybody that was there with us during this entire NFL draft weekend, courtesy of the Hardcore Sports Network and the All-Star Sports Network. Thank everybody that was there to support us throughout this entire 3-day weekend and be there for us while we were doing the live streams. Thank you guys all so much and appreciate always the support that you give every single one of us individually. Now, in terms of the New York Giants, the Giants draft has officially come to an end, and the Giants had 4 draft picks that they were making: 1 in the 5th round, 1 in the 6th round, and 2 in the 7th round. And the Giants overall in the 5th round today, they ended up selecting former Oklahoma running back Eric Gray. Eric Gray, pretty much, he came originally from the University of Tennessee, where he first started playing for the Vols, where he played in 22 games, and he averaged a 5.1 yard per carry and 1,311 yards on 258 carries during the year with the Vols. Gray also played under former Giants assistant coach Jeremy Pruitt with Tennessee, and was also a teammate of Jalen Hyatt, the Giants' 3rd round overall pick. So obviously familiarity right there with Hyatt and, of course, Eric Gray. Gray ended up transferring in 2021 to the Oklahoma Sooners, where he was part of another shared backfield that exploded in his senior season when he was the featured back, where he went from 1,366 yards rushing on 213 carries with a 6.4 yards per average, and he had 11 touchdowns that season, and his 1366 was 9th highest in school history, where Gray earned a first-team All-Big 12 recognition from Pro Football Focus in 2022, and earned an All-Big 12 second-team selection with league coaches and the AP, and he was named to an academic All-Big 12 team overall. And on the field, he has a good high character, and he's certainly one of them. He is one of the 3 recipients of the program's coveted Don Key Award, which is presented for excellence on and off the field in 2022. And he also served as a middle school math tutor and raised money for Touchdowns Awareness Cancer and St. Jude's Research. Beautiful thing to hear, that this guy is that humble and that just a good individual to be able to do the type of things that he's doing right now. And he held a 3.5 GPA in high school and majored in kinesiology at Tennessee, where he graduated from Oklahoma in 2022 in August with a degree in multidisciplinary studies. Beautiful thing to do. And also, what he's going to bring to the New York Giants. Obviously, when it comes to the uncertainty of Saquon Barkley's future on the New York Giants, obviously he got the franchise tag, but right now the Giants and him are discussing a long-term deal. We want to know what's going to be happening with that situation. The Giants wanted to beef up the running back room, and Gray is a compact 5'9", 210-pound running back and his well-rounded game, and he will join Barkley, Matt Breida, Gary Brightwell, and Jayshon Corbin in the New York Giants backfield going into the season. And Gray is also known for being a short-handed running back where he did not fumble the football and can also contribute in terms of the returner and special teams. There you go. If Barkley's back and you have yourself a full backfield, this kid can end up being your returner going forward. So I like that. I think he's a good north-south runner, decent cutback ability, can also be involved in the running game, but needs to shore up overall his run. He needs to be a little bit more of a better side-to-side runner, and he's a developmental guy. You could stash as either a returner or it can be your 3rd running back going forward. So I think it's a solid pick for the New York Giants. Am I going head over heels for it? No. I mean, he's a good, solid depth running back you get in the 4th round. So I'm happy about that. I want to see how he can be utilized for the New York Giants going into this 2023 NFL season. He's definitely going to be a good contributor for this team going forward. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. But I like the pick of Eric Gray. I've watched him in college. He is a small running back, but at the same time, he's got a good lower body to him. So I want to see how this kid can do going into this NFL season. Giants then in the 5th round overall, they selected 6'3", 195-pound cornerback Tre Hawkins III out of Old Dominion. And this is what Dame Brugler of The Athletic said about the 6'3" cornerback out of Old Dominion, 195 pounds. He said he's a decorated athlete. He at Temple High. He finished with his senior season with 60 tackles and 2 interceptions. He was forced to go JUCO route out of high school and played 2 seasons at Trinity Valley Community in East Texas. He then signed with Old Dominion in 2020 recruiting class, but then the season was wiped out because of the pandemic. Hawkins started all 25 games this past 2 seasons, and he made noticeable improvements as a senior, where his penalties dropped from 6 to only 1 penalty overall. That's a good thing to hear that his penalties dropped in terms of his overall coverage in the college game. He has a tall, long, and limber body with the gather and go skills to quickly transition vertically and stay attached to receivers. His long speed is impressive, but his average lateral agility will put him in recovery mode and show up as a tackler. Overall, Hawkins will get clingy and needs to improve his play recognition. Obviously, that means he needs to be doing a better job in terms of his footwork and being able to recognize a play when it happens in the open field and not panicking and starting to grab the defender when he's out there. But he passes the eye test with flying colors, and his athletic profile teams will want to develop. Obviously, this means he's a developmental cornerback on the team. You already brought in guys like Leonard Johnson is another one that's a developmental cornerback on this team. Giants have a lot of depth at this cornerback position now. Not, surefire, great talent, but you got this kid now, Tre Hawkins III, along with first-round pick Deonte Banks, to already go what you got on the roster. You have Adoree Jackson, Cordell Flott, Darnay Holmes, Amani Owarie, Rodarius Williams, Zion Gilbert, and of course Aaron Robinson. So you have a lot of depth at this cornerback position, and this kid can be one of those guys who has a slender frame, but he needs to work on his recognition, but he has good athletic profile, and he has a good long speed, impressive torque to him. He just needs to do a little bit better in terms of his instinctive. He's got to be a little bit more instinctive on the coverage. But overall, I want to see what this kid can do for the New York Giants in this round. Then the New York Giants went to the 7th round, and they selected one defensive tackle, and they also selected a safety. The Giants today, they selected Jordan Riley in the 7th round out of Oregon. Riley is the 5th player overall taken by the Oregon Ducks. He's a little bit more of a developmental tackle right now, I'd probably say. So he's going to be a guy that you can just stash out there, see how he performs, and if he's not up to snuff, what you can do is you can stash him on the practice squad, or you make him one of those back-end tackles on the roster. So we'll have to wait and see how this kid does. I've seen a little bit of tape of him. And Jordan Riley is a former transfer of Nebraska. He's a 6'5", 338-pound defensive tackle. He finished with 26 overall tackles in 2023, 2 sacks and 3.5. He said he had 3.5 tackles for loss. He also became a leader on Garden City's defense that limited his opponents to 289 yards per rush and 125 yards per rush, 289 yards total. At Nebraska, last season he saw action in 10 games, recording 7 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. He also was part of the academic All-Big Ten team in 2021. Don Smiley of the Ducks Wire also offered his take on Riley following his pro day. Oregon Ducks defensive lineman Jordan Riley was the most likely not on NFL Scout's immediate roster, but after the Oregon Ducks pro day, Riley might have now be a blip on the radar. Obviously because he's a big dude at 6'5", 338 pounds, who has decent speed and agility and good times on the 40-yard dash and 10-yard split. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to show strength, so that's obviously one of the things that held him back was his strength overall, and he pretty much skipped the bench press. He's a raw prospect at the defensive tackle position. You have to think about it right now. The Giants are loaded at defensive tackle. You got Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence at the defensive tackle position. You signed A'Shawn Robinson as well as Rakeem Nunez-Roches, and you got DJ Davidson, who's coming back from an ACL injury on the roster. So this kid right now, Jordan Riley, can be able to develop as a sixth potential defensive tackle, or you put him on the practice squad. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with this kid overall when we get to the NFL, when we get to the NFL when we get to the I can't talk right now. When we get to training camp and we get to preseason work. And now we get to the final player in terms of the Giants drafted in the other pick in round number 7, and that is Gervarrius Owens, safety. Also, a cornerback who converted to safety. So obviously the Giants were not shy about getting as much secondary help as possible. And obviously because the Giants lost Julian Love in free agency, even though they signed Bobby McCain, the Giants wanted to add a little bit more depth to this position. Owens has the physical ingredients to play the safety position overall. The mistakes he put on tape should be a concern though. His cornerback background shows with the way he matches route breaks from man coverage, but he lacks the field vision and instincts. I did see that when I watched a little bit of tape of him. He did look a little bit lost on the field in terms of trying to be able to recognize the play, but he is 6 foot, 195 pounds. Owens is a willing and physical hitter. He is willing to go up there and make a hit. I did notice that. He's not afraid to go up and make big hits, but he takes suspect angles. Like I mentioned, he needs to work on his awareness and be able to recognize the tackle in the open field. And he misses too many tackles. That's something right there that needs to be corrected. But luckily with him, Tre Hawkins, and Deonte Banks, we have a good secondary coach in Jerome Henderson. He's a draftable trade, but the issues might be difficult to fix. So we have to try to see if Jerome Henderson could be able to go out there and fix him in terms of being able to recognize, being able to recognize open field awareness and be able to do a better job in open field tackling overall. But this is a kid that does have some decent size, and maybe with a rotation he's going to be involved in with Xavier McKinney, Jason Pinnock, Terrell Burgess, Trent Thompson, and McCain. Giants have a decent depth at the safety position. Obviously, McKinney being a Pro Bowl player, and you have a bunch of other guys that are going to be filling into that position overall going forward. Of course, Dane Belton, one of them as well. So, Giants pretty much took a couple of stabs here in the 4th through 7th rounds. I like Eric Gray. I think he's going to be a good change of pace back. And then the other 3 guys, Tre Hawkins III, Jordan Riley, and Gervarrius Owens. Gervarrius Owens, Tre Hawkins III, and Jordan Riley are all going to be developmental pieces. You can have the back end of your defensive line and your secondary. The Giants obviously were thinking much more about defense in this draft. The only offensive players they drafted in this draft were John Michael Schmidt and Jalen Hyatt. Otherwise that, and also Eric Gray. Giants went more defense in this draft. Gervarrius Owens, Tre Hawkins III, and Jordan Riley are going to be more developmental pieces. There are some things to like about these guys, but these are going to be guys that are going to be either stashed in the back end of the rotation, or some of them could even be potential depth pieces on the roster, or they could even be practice squad guys. We're going to have to see how these players do going into the training camp and preseason. But either way, the Giants make their last 4 picks in the NFL draft. They select Eric Gray in the 4th round out of Oklahoma. Then they select in the 5th round, or they select in the 6th round. They select Jordan Riley out of Oregon, defensive tackle. So they selected running back Eric Gray, formerly of Tennessee, but Oklahoma, in the 5th round. Jordan Riley in the 6th round, and then they select Tre Hawkins in the 6th round, and then they select Jordan Hawkins out of Old Dominion. Then they select, after that in the 7th round, Jordan Riley, defensive tackle out of Oregon, and Gervarrius Owens, safety, former converted cornerback out of Houston. Those are the last 4 picks for the New York Giants. And now the Giants are going to be getting ready to see who they might be adding as well in undrafted free agency. And then the Giants are going to be loading up their 90-man roster as we get ready for OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp later in the year, and of course, preseason, and then we get ready for the regular season coming out for Big Blue. Hit that like button if you guys haven't already. Make sure you guys give a sub to NYG Jeffy T85. More news updates and chatter surrounding the New York Giants. Turn on the bell for notifications of the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Giants. And you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about the Giants picks they made in the 4th through 7th round. Eric Gray, Tre Hawkins III, Jordan Riley, and Gervarrius Owens. Let me know what you think about all 4 of these prospects. If you like them, if you don't like them, where they're going to fit in on offense and defense. And what you think about the overall grades of the Giants' 7 draft picks they made in this NFL draft. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Take it easy, and let's go New York Football Giants as always. Together Blue, everyone.